Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Well, happy Friday, the 13th, of course. Very, God bless you. Good to hear you. And what a day it was yesterday, attacking all those people in Iran. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Scary stuff.
It is. So, tomorrow is the anniversary of the Army.
250 years. Hooray.
Hoorah. How are you there, Mr. Ron? God bless you.
Well, we're happy to be here, happy to be alive, happy that we have people who know what they're doing for once in the first 10 years, last 10 years. And we have our government that has at least some leadership that demonstrates what we need to do to survive. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm just praying that everything goes well tomorrow. I think it's cool. We're going to have a national parade. And, everybody else, every other country has been having parades celebrating the victories of World War One and Two, and obviously Korea and every other one. So now we're going to do it tomorrow. And I know the detractors and the anarchists don't want us to do that because they want us to believe that the whole country is crap. And they're the ones that are that. And so we have an opportunity to hang our flags and be proud.
Oh, you've got to be a wonderful, wonderful personality and a wonderful man here in the US of A, counting the wonderful dedications of those who served, fought, and even died for the freedoms and love that we enjoy in our country. Oh my, what a what a pleasant and wonderful country we have. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard to the Golden Rule Society. That's a part of our charity, as part, of course, of the Hope Collection. And we have a wonderful, wonderful lady here, Mary Stanley. She's a senior advisor in our Golden Rule Society. And we have Mr. Ron Clayton, who's also a senior advisor in our Golden Rule Society. But Mr. Ron Clayton is the current president of the Hope Collection, put together years ago by a gentleman by the name of Joel Gripping. And I have to tell you a little bit about him because it would be unfair not to. Mr. Joel Gifford was from Pennsylvania, small, uh, small world, because I grew up in the eastern part of Pennsylvania, up in Scranton. And Mr. Ron Clayton, Mr. Joel Griffin, I mean, he went to college at the University of Pennsylvania, and he later became a senior advisor to not one, not two, but three presidents of the United States. He was tall, handsome, brilliant, wonderful personality, and three of them selected him to be their senior advisor. What a position. And years later, I never got to meet him, but I knew about him. And I got a phone call from him one day because I've been doing charity work for the past 53 years. We're all non-paid volunteers. We're helping to make it a better world, and we're not selling anything. That's the nice part about it. And those who are here, please do yourself a favor and have a piece of paper handy and a pencil or a pen, because we have some wonderful information for you. As a matter of fact, we even have some gifts for you and yours. You can share the programs with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your church, and your charity. That's the nicest part about the kindness campaigns that we've got going for all these many, many years, nationwide and worldwide, helping to make it a better world. And it's just an honor and a pleasure. So when Mr. Joel Griffin called me one day and he said, Len, I've been following you, what you're doing. And he says, I'd like to offer my services as a senior advisor in the Golden Rule Society charity. And I tell this story all the time because I said, I took about a half of a second or so to say, welcome aboard. He was a wonderful, wonderful man. Sadly, a couple, 3 years back, the cancer got him. So the good Lord called him home to be with him in heaven. So that's where Mr. Ron Clayton filled in, and he's now the president of the Hope for You. Wonderful organization. And I'm going to tell you all about it and wonderful opportunities that are going to help make it a better world for you and yours, now and always, because we sure need it. And the goal is very simple. Together, we're going to help make it a better world. And with what happened yesterday in Iran, it was just incredible. And what the Israelis did to stop these bad people from making atomic bombs that they're going to be fighting and killing others. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to serve, to help make it a better world. And that's what we're doing. We have this radio show 5 days a week. It goes high noon on the east coast of the United States, but I'm very honored and humbled to be the keynote speaker on Fridays. So here we are, and just relax and enjoy. And you can, if you want to tell your friends about this thing, because this show goes to 97 countries. Now, I always say, I don't know who's listening, but I know who's talking. And what we're saying, the good things that we all should be following in life. And I'll give you a very simple, what the Golden Rule Society's kindness campaign going worldwide sounds like. And I'll tell you where it started. When I was in high school, graduating, and the next day after I graduated, I was off to the Navy, off to boot camp, and had my bag packed, and my mom was there. And as I was ready to leave, she said, Len, before you leave, I want you to remember this. So I stopped and I said, what's going on, Mom? What's going on? She said, Len, wherever you go, whatever you do, whoever you meet, be kind. Now, those two words are in my heart, in my soul, and in my mind. I've lived my life following those two words. And of course, there are many other nice words that go with it. But if you're kind and you're humble and you're courteous, why not? That beats being anything other than that. You might be nice. Simple as that. So off we went. But the Navy was very nice. They gave me all kind of tests to do, this and that and the other. And I said, okay, yeah, fine. Because I wanted to become an electrician. I wanted to finish my Navy career and then go to college and Pennsylvania, and then get a job with IBM and be a technical guy with them. Well, the Navy had better ideas, evidently, because they told me, "Hey, Len, you did pretty well on the test, all the tests. So, how would you like to take the test to see if you qualify to go to the Navy flight training program?" I said, "I never get that or got a thought, but people encouraged me. Sure, why not? Give it a shot." So I did. I took the test, and next thing I know, I'm down in Pensacola, Florida, going through Navy flight training. And, ladies and gentlemen, I spent myself a little over a quarter of a century flying Navy airplanes all over the world in combat and in obviously in wonderful, pleasant times. And after I retired from the Navy, this airline that was based in San Diego, California, called me on the phone and said, "Hey, Len, we'd like to offer you a job as an instructor pilot with Pacific Southwest Airlines, right based here in San Diego." And I thought, well, yeah, I've always enjoyed flying airplanes. They said, "Well, come aboard, be an instructor, and be a line pilot carrying passengers up and down the west coast of the United States." And I did that for another 22 years. Fun stuff. Courtesy and kindness paid off because it was always pleasant. Oh, and I got a story to tell you how this Golden Rule Society charity came about. And you might get a kick out of this. One Christmas, I got 2 electric shavers for Christmas. A $25 electric shaver. I got 2 of them. Well, one for my wife Ann's mother back in Pennsylvania, and one for my wife Ann. So I asked all my fighter pilot buddies and airline captain buddies, and I said, "What am I going to do with 2 electric shavers?" And they all told me pretty much the same thing. They said, "Len, you shave your face with one and you shave your legs with the other one." All in good fun, kidding around. But what I did on the airplane one day, flying along, I said, "Ladies, I've got this $25 electric shaver, never been used, brand new. And what I'm going to offer is a chance to swap. And I'm going to swap with anybody in the back that has something of just a greater value. And we're going to do this all on paper. We're not going to carrying things back and forth." So I swapped it. People said, "Yeah, okay, I've got something worth maybe $50 or whatever, and I'll swap you through on paper." So we kept doing that. And the chief pilot, he found out about it. He says, "Len, what are you doing?" And I told him. He says, "Hey, but that's crazy. We shouldn't be doing things like that." So he says, "I'm going to tell the owner of the airline," which he did. Now, wouldn't you know, the owner of the airline called me up and said, "Hey, Len, that's a great idea. Keep it going. Have fun." Long story short, that $25 razor, electric razor, what we did was got enough gifts and organizations. So we talked to every church and charity in the San Diego area. And I said, "We have all of these gifts. They're worth thousands of dollars. And your charity, your church, whoever you want to be, you can sell bills and tickets and all that sort of stuff. And the gifts will go to you and yours, the ones who were selected." Well, long story short, that $25 electric shaver, we raised $1 million. That all went to the charity and charities, churches in the San Diego area. And I have a good friend of mine who was an attorney, but he was a good buddy of mine when we used to play golf all the time. And when he found out how much money we raised, he said, "Len, you just can't do this out of your back pocket." So we formed this corporation, charitable, nonprofit, tax exempt. We don't sell anything. We don't get paid. whatever monies we raise, if people make a donation, we give it to charity. And people want to make a donation, we say, look, if you want to make a donation, make it to your own church or your own charity. Because that way you know where the money's going, and the churches and charities know who you are, and they appreciate your courtesies and kindness. So it goes on, and has been for all these many years. 53 years, and just next week it'll be 53 years because it'll be just on my birthday, the 19th of June, 1936. Wow, where does the time go? Anyway, nonetheless, but we keep doing that. And we now have the kindness campaign going nationwide and worldwide. And here's what it is, and it's available to everybody and anybody. But the Kindness Golden Rule Society's kindness campaign goes like this: with kindness and courtesy and hope in your heart for peace in the world, treat others the way you want to be treated, truthfully, with dignity and respect. And when you do that, you're sharing the love that your God gives you with others. And when you do share it, do it with a smile. And that's what it's all about. Simple as that, nationwide and worldwide. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the wonderful opportunities that Ms. Mary Stanley has gotten into. And Mary Stanley, a senior advisor, she was a military person, United States Army, and she did finish her career there. And she heard about the Golden Rule Society, and she came aboard as a senior advisor. And by the way, every one of our senior advisors, we've got almost 24 of them, we're all non-paid volunteers. And whenever one of the advisors does something extra special, I always tell them we're going to double your salary, and they remind me very quickly that, hey, Len, 2 times nothing is still nothing. But it's all in good fun. All busy doing the work of the Lord, helping to make it a better world. So Mary Stanley is just incredible with what she's doing.
Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
It,
Go ahead,
we,
Mary.
you know, we may not get paid up front for it, but we have a phenomenal retirement program afterwards.
Oh, well, so many things to talk about. Mary, what you're doing, I want you to tell us more about it, because I want to tell the world all the many nice things that you're doing to make it a better world. Mary has 2 children, a lovely girl, and a young son, and a wonderful husband. And of course, she tells the kids about what's going on with Golden Rule Society charity. And her daughter, going to school, was very involved and very just funded by herself, thinking about the Golden Rule Society, the charity, the Golden Rule Society, and the kindness campaign. And she came back and one day and asked her mommy, she said, Mommy, how come we don't have a kindness club in our classroom at school? And when Mary Stanley told that to me, I said, I never gave that a thought, but that's what a wonderful idea. And Mary Stanley, the way it's going, just a couple of weeks ago, we now have over 1,000 schools with kindness clubs in their classrooms. And our goal, of course, is to have a kindness club in every classroom, in every school, in every city, in every state throughout the United States. And if we're going to do that, we might as well do it worldwide. Why not? That way, it doesn't interfere with anything that the teachers are trying to do. They're teaching what they're focused on. But the children are part of a kindness club, treating each other with courtesy and kindness, rather than arguing with one another and fighting and this and that and the other. They're working together, helping to make it a better world by being kind with one another. And it's working great. And not only they're doing the schools, they're getting into churches and other charities. that they're going to have a little kindness club. And why not? No, it's all free. We're not selling anything. We don't get paid. And that's the beauty of it. And Mary, you've got so many wonderful things you're doing. And I just love to brag about Mary Stanley because the great city, and I mean the great state where she lives, Minnesota, they have touched base with her and are getting her involved. And I don't want to tell too much about it because I don't know all the image, but this organization in the state, they want her to be the leader, if you will, to help make it a better state for everybody that's living there. And she's doing it and carrying on as and it's easy to do, just being courteous and kind. Mary Stanley, keep up your great work. God bless you. We're so proud of you. And if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to you, Mary, for a little more explanation on what I
Sure.
introduced you that you're doing. If you may, or you can do it later, your choice. But I'm going to take a sip of my coffee and over to you, Mary.
So, what I do on the side, or my main, is I run an organization called Unmasking Neurodiversity, Supportive Minds. And what we do is we teach people how to understand what autism and other neurological issues are and how to overcome them. And so, we are going to work with the Capitol to help redesign our state standard testing so that they are more friendly for autistic kids and making them more options available for them who are nonverbal. We make all these accommodations for the deaf who can't speak. We need to do the same thing for other individuals who don't have a voice that projects out. And Ariana came up with a new idea to expand the Kindness Club, and it's going to be converted into an actual organization. It'll be similar to like the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts campfires. And so the kids will have vests with different patches they can earn based on different levels of kindness.
That's phenomenal. So excited about that, Mary. And it really is. We're looking to be able to establish so many more ways to reaching out. We're in the information age, and today because of AI and other things on the internet, and we can talk and we can meet people and create relationships with people all over the world.
Hmm.
And small world.
It is. And that's the cool part about it. And so we haven't figured out exactly how it's going to work, like if it's a vest with patches or what. But it'll be something tangible that the kids will see and earn, but they will be neurodiverse friendly. So for kids with sensory issues, it'll be something that works for them.
Uh,
That's always vital.
Mary, please keep up your great work. God, there's so many wonderful things that are going on in the Golden Rule Society, and just to have people like Ron Clayton, now the president of the Hope Collection, and of course Mary Stanley, a leader not only in the United States and her the country and I mean the state that she's in, and the children, and it's just wonderful. And I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, listening, be sure you have a piece of paper, pen, or a pencil handy, because I'm going to give you some gifts. And again, I'm going to stress we're not selling anything, and we are all non paid. So you can relax and enjoy because the gifts I'm going to give you, you can share with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your churches, your charities, because it's going to help make it a better world. Simple as that. And it's some people say that's hard to believe. Well, that's the way it is. That's what we've been doing. And of course, I'm honored to say that I've only got 5 nominations for the Nobel Peace Prize. And until 2014, they told me I was number 2 in the world. And I said, golly, I don't want to be number 2 in the world, because when I was a Navy fighter pilot, I was the East Coast Top Gun and the All Navy Top Gun. So, all in good fun, but we're just helping to make it a better world. And we go on and on. So, by all means, you've got that piece of paper handy, and I want you to copy this down. Very simple. It's our Golden Rule Society's website. And you all know how it goes. It's www.goldenrulesociety. And that's all one word, Golden Rule Society, no spaces. So you get it, www.goldenrulesociety.org. Now, the ORG simply means we're a charitable, nonprofit, tax-exempt corporation, both nationwide in the United States and worldwide. And we're busy serving everybody on this earth. And that's such a nice feeling, because it goes on and on. But when you get there, I'm going to give you little examples of some things that you're going to find. And I'll save the biggest one for the last. But the program, we call it Hope for You. And the nice part about that is treating other people the way you want to be treated. And it included in that is Success for You, because what it includes is educational, motivational, inspirational, character building guidance for everybody. For everybody. It's called Success for You. And the success goes success in living your life, and how to live a life that is pleasant, enjoyable, friends with everybody. And it's just a wonderful feeling to know that, hey, I'm getting along with everybody rather than arguing and fighting with everybody. And then you get the action plan for business, I just talked about, an action plan for living. Of course, living, I just mentioned how to do it. But the action plan for business is this, put together in our Golden Rule Society charity by people who are successful in their lives in business. And I'll make it simplified by saying they teach you, hey, don't do this, don't invest in that kind of stuff, because you're going to waste your money, you're going to lose and all this. Do the things that we know are going to work for you. Don't make the mistakes that have already been made. Simple as that. So, an action plan for business, an action plan for living. And it's all in part of the Hope for You, and a Success for You. And of course, I keep talking about the kindness campaign and Mary Stanley's kindness. Oh gosh. I keep loving to keep talking about it because she's doing such a great job. We also have, when you visit the site, there are all sorts of things here. We have one that's called the Wise Traveler, and there are discounts on travel. We made arrangements with as many airlines that we possibly could. And if they have empty seats, they'd like to offer you a discount to make sure that all the seats are filled. There's no sense in flying airplanes back and forth across the country with full of empty seats. So they would rather give a discount to have somebody in there. And we have no control over what sort of a discount they offer. Because if the seats are all full, you're not going to get a discount. But if they have empty seats, they would like to make a discount, and that's total their control. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, but it's up to you when you give them a call. And you can be a wise traveler. That's the program. Be a wise traveler. And we have all kinds of wonderful things. And we have another organization that we kind of like, especially with our charity, for communications. Now, we all communicate with one another. People call on the telephone, people send emails, do this, that, and the other. And what I like to use is what we call video emails. And all you need is a little camera, and you have to buy it. You put it on the top of your computer, and you turn it on, and the video shows you talking. And you don't have to write this down, but people see your face, they see your smile, they see your personality, and you talk to them. And I love doing it because it see people know that this is a personality aspect of it. And I keep my video emails maybe a minute or two at most, but it just conveys the thought process. Now, if I was talking to you right now on my video email, you'll be able to see my smile. I see my wow, wow, just walking or going back and forth, and you see me up and it just you say, hey, this is a real person, rather than you're just reading a piece of paper. So it's available, and there's more than more of these people who have their video emails, and pick the one that you think that you like, because I'm not selling anything. And we have another thing that I particularly like, and I learned about it the hard way, but it works. My doctor gave me a prescription. I've got to go to the drugstore, and I heard about this option. It's called the prescription discount program, and I have no idea where and how many organizations have it. But I went to the drugstores with my card from the doctor, and I said, by the way, are you part of the druggist? I said, are you part of the prescription discount program? And he looked back and forth and he said, no, we're not, Len, but it's across the street, 4 blocks, that there's a prescription organization, and you can get there and they give you discounts. Nobody advertises about it. So the next time I had a card from the doctor, I went over to that one, and there was a savings, and the savings vary. And they brag and they say that the biggest saving you might make is as high as 80%. And that's their control, not mine. I'm not involved in that. But so I go to these organizations that have the prescription discount program, and we save money. And I tell people about it, and they save money, and they appreciate it. Why not give it a try? You can go to any program where you could get your discounts, but I mean, up to your things from the doctor, and you maybe pay twice as much as you should. All you have to do is ask. And we go on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many other items that we are involved in. And one of the things that you might appreciate is the fact that the charity work we're doing, I found that I've been recognized in America. It's nice to say I get humanitarian awards, and being a keynote speaker at the very organizations. Ron Clayton and his organization invited me up to their home and in New York, and I was a guest speaker. And it was the largest Navy based in the country, and they had television stations there, radio stations, and when I was speaking, it all went out to the world or to whoever was listening. But that was such a wonderful honor to be invited by Mr. Ron Clayton. And I'm going to just take a little break here and take another more sip of my coffee and introduce you to Mr. Ron Clayton, as I said, senior advisor in the Golden Rule Society, and he's the president of the Hope Collection. And Ron, why don't you suck it to us and tell us all about your organization and all the wonderful things you and your wonderful, wonderful bride, that I've been doing for all these many years. God bless. Over to you, Ron.
Well, Len, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction yourself. And it's such a privilege to be able to host you, and we'll get a chance to do that every Friday at noon Eastern time. And this show is dedicated to honoring all the work that you've done, not only when you were a military person and a pilot, and the records that you set. We were just on a cruise on the ship called the Freedom with Carnival Cruise Lines down the Turks and Caicos, where you were a guest speaker, actually the featured speaker at the Veterans Honorary Program that Carnival does on every cruise on every ship. Well, while we were there, the cruise director, the guy that runs all the shows and everything, he was a former pilot, and his father was a royal, English pilot for the English Air Force. And they were talking about some of the things that they did and how they were trained. And it turns out what was acknowledged on the cruise is that the British are still using the Kaine tactic to practice and learn how to fly blind dog fights. And you had such a high success rate, and everybody around the world has adopted your system. See, what you did is you learned and you taught. I think, I just think anybody can fly a plane faster than the speed of sound. That amazes me. And do it in formation like you did as an instructor and a pilot. When you're in Europe training and working with Blue Angels, all the things that you've done in that area, then go on with the Golden Rule Society that touched so many lives, young people, children, moms, dads, and churches and schools. And that's why you've been nominated 5 times for a Nobel Peace Prize. What a privilege we have to share this time with you, and we're so honored. And we pray that you're healing. I know you had a bad car accident 2 weeks ago when we got back from the cruise. We just hope that you're feeling better. And we're looking forward to your health. And of course, we got new programs coming up soon. And we'll look forward to being able to getting together again.
Oh, Ron, you're something special. And ladies and gentlemen, Ron and I are very enthused about something that happened because I was an instructor as a fighter pilot, and I put together a program, and I gave it a bit of a nickname, if you will. But the idea was it was air combat maneuvering. And what I did was put the maneuvering between the airplanes in a three-dimensional maneuvering. And they call it, gave it a nickname, they call it the Capt program, Kaine Air Tactics. And it was something that, and in doing it, I flew, in 2 days, I flew 6 different type airplanes in air combat maneuvering. I was scheduled for a 7th, but I had to quit because I was putting so many, geez, I said, if I fly one more flight today, I may not survive. But anyway, they said, hey, that's set a Navy record. 6 different airplanes in 2 days in air combat maneuvering. And then years later, with the organization that Ron is a part of, the organization that Ron is a part of, they did a search on it, and it's not only a Navy record but a world record. I guess there are not many people. One for sure flew 6 different airplanes in 2 days in air combat maneuvering. And using those tactics, we went into combat over Vietnam. And I'm up at altitude, and who's on the ground? The Marines, the U.S. Marine Corps. We never saw each other because we've got so much difference in between. Anyway, long story short, years later, one of the senior advisors in our Golden Rule Society was a retired Marine, and he had took the time. He was a had a he was a doctorate, if you will, in his business, and he said, "Len, you got to go down to Texas and meet this guy who's a retired Marine, and he was wounded in combat and was retired, and he was going to college." So my friend Jim Kyle said, "Len, you got to go down and meet him." So I did. The gentleman's name is Alexander Candelario. Tall, handsome, really good Marine. So we had a nice chat there. In a couple, 3 hours, I was overwhelmed. The guy was incredible, brilliant, technology wise. So we're looking at it and I said, "What are you doing? How about that?" And I, "What's the name of your organization?" And it was, it is nothing formal, but he called it the Intiva Health, Intiva. He said, "What is Intiva?" It says informational, video, technology, audios. So oh, lots of information. So what I did was look at it and I said, "We've got to do something because this is too good to go to waste." So what I did was I funded his corporation. Okay. Now he's got a corporation, legal, all that good stuff, nationwide, and it expanded and started growing. And I'm going to make it this a long story short. The Antiva Health Organization, just about 3.5 years ago, became the #1 organization in the world. I'm going to say that again, in the entire world, supporting the medical industry. Wow, that is really something. That's the talent that Alexander has, and that's the talent that Jim Kyle have as well. So the next month or the month after, my wife Ann and I, we are going over to Arizona in the US of A, and we're going to help raise the flag on the third manufacturing plant of Intiva Health. And the third plant is only 5 times larger than the previous 2 plants put together. In other words, the growth that we've involved in is exponential because we're saving lives on a day-to-day basis. And I jokingly tell people, my wife Ann and I, we wake up in the morning and say, "I wonder how many lives we saved today." And that is impacting you and your family, your friends, your neighbors, your church, your chamber, the doctors, and the nurses and the hospitals. They all have to get more involved in it because there's so much that keeps getting better and bigger and taking away suffering and pain and keeping people alive. And what it tugs at the heartstrings to know that. And we keep doing it. And you can tell your doctor, your your nurses, whoever, where you go to the hospital, tell them about it. Because every once in a while I'll ask somebody, I say, "Are you familiar with Intiva Health?" And they always say, "Oh yes, I've heard about it." And I always ask, "Have you visited the site to see what's going?" "Oh no, I really haven't." I said, "Well, here's the site. Go visit and let me know." And every one of them who do that, they call back in a couple of 3 days and say, "Len, why didn't you tell me about this sooner?" Because all the doctors, they know all that the stuff that they learned when they went into medical school, but everything changes and everything's always upgrading and this and that and the other. And they're saying, "Man, it's kind of nice to know that today is better than yesterday on serving and taking care of some particular patients." So it's a wonderful feeling to know that we're saving lives and keeping people from suffering. And Mr. Ron Clayton is very much of a part of it because he touts and lets people know here, there, and everywhere. Be sure to write that down. Intiva Health. So when you go to our website, remember, give it to you, www.goldenrulesociety.org. And Golden Rule Society is all one word. And go there. You can then find the Intiva Health. It's part of the organization. And take a look through it and you say, gosh, oh dear, this is wonderful. This is nice to know that this, oh, here I've got this pain and I've been suffering, and here's the people that they're describing, they have the cure for it. So tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, your church, or your charity all about the Golden Rule Society charity and all the wonderful things we're trying to do to help make it a better world. Because many, many years ago, a gentleman said, a kindness is never wasted. His name is Aesop, and he's a couple of thousand years or so old now. He would be if he still had his birthdays. But these are the kind of things that you share. Always take the time to be courteous and to be kind, because it makes your life so much better and the lives of the people that you're talking to so much better. And your family, wow, isn't it wonderful to have a relationship with your families and your neighbors? That is kind of fun. Rather than, oh yeah, there's that neighbor of ours, or there's that, oh, I don't like them anymore. Hey, courteous and kind. It really does work. So there's so many things that are available to you on the website. And it is again, goldenrulesociety.org. And share it with everybody. Because again and again, a kindness is never wasted. And I'm going to say, because I'm running out of time, I'm going to say, God bless all of you. Take good care, be courteous, be kind, have a great day. And I'm going to turn it back over to Mary, because she is the hostess with the mostest. Over to you, Mary. Tell us what we're going to do. Oh, she may have been called away. Ron, or if you have something, you've got it, my friend.
Well, thank you, Len, and thank you so much for sharing again. We have guests on the show today, and we want people to know around the world that we're broadcasting. We'll use the word, and we do it with pride, love. We're talking about really making a difference, not just giving each other a pat on the back. See, I know what you've been doing all these years because I know you. I've known you for years. And Joel Griffin introduced us, and so I've had dinner with you and Ann at your home. We've gone out to eat. We've been to San Diego. You've been to Buffalo. You've been to our house. So we put you to work, helping to cook the hamburgers, hot dogs, and the chicken for all the kids for the picnic that we had when you spoke at the Memorial Day service 2 years ago. That was a dedication weekend for the only one of a kind in the United States African American Veterans Monument, recognizing all the African Americans who have served the country, going all the way back to the shot heard around the world, Bunker Hill. And that was a project that we worked on for several years to help make it come to be. We now still sits right in front of the world's largest inland naval park, Buffalo Naval Park, where we have destroyer, destroyer escort, and a submarine. World War II, Korean War, and a modern ship. All of them there for your review, and the park has many, many more military airplane, jet planes, F4 like you flew in Nam, I believe, for a Phantom, just really neat planes. And then we got a PT boat. Looks like it just, you think of the movie PT 109, our former president, John F. Kennedy, who served on the VT 109. Well, we've got one that looks just like the one that was in World War II, the Pacific. We've got some underwater relics from Japan and some other places. They're all commemorating what people who have given out all to make us and have us the greatest country in the world. We're still leading that position, thanks to people like you, Len. And we're so grateful. And Jim Kyle, who from Intiva Health, as an officer of that organization, which is making world class changes in medical delivery. And they're an American company. They're located in Houston, located in Phoenix, Arizona. So they aren't overseas. They're here in the United States. And we're so grateful we have a relationship so that we can work together and bring more health and healing to Americans. Mary, are you back by any chance? Sometimes during the show, she also is watching her children as a mom, and they're both blessed children with special gifts. And David's got a heart the size of a giant, and Ariana, her daughter, we call her Princess, and they just have great love in their heart, and they work hard to be good kids for their mom, who's a former veteran. She served, part of her service was the recovery at 9/11. When the towers went down, Mary was on the site in recovery. And if you don't think that's going to affect your life and your mind and your heart, to be able to be down there and do that. And I was in New York. I was there the day before. I actually stood at the foot of the second tower. I was supposed to have lunch with a friend that day, and obviously we didn't have lunch. But we both experienced being right there. Mary served for I don't know how many months she was at the site, but she was there working on that horrible, horrible remnants of the attack. And she probably works today so hard to continue. We're using our website and our programs to help honor veterans and their families. And we're thankful for her too. So everybody wants you to know this is an anniversary, 250 years of our country. This weekend, Saturday, is the 250th anniversary of the Army. And we're going to have our first national parade in years that they're going to hold right down, I think you're going right down Constitutional Avenue in Washington, D.C. I hope you partake. I hope you see it on TV and then even on your local, if there's any parades going on in your area. I hope you'll join and honor those who have represented us and keep our freedoms. I hope everybody does have a wonderful weekend, and we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week at noon, and you can partake in all our shows. Thank you so much.
God bless you, Ron and Mary. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. We're always here 5 days a week. We'll take good care. God bless. Bye-bye for now.
Salute you, Len.
Yes, sir. And God bless the U.S. of A.